to talk about At first, I'm going to talk about general things about 6581s, 8580s, and replacements. And those replacements I have here is ARMSID and FPGA SID. And I will talk about the differences and what I think is the best. But this is, you have to understand, this is my opinion. You have your own, so keep it. It's important to know what you like and what you are not like. So don't copy me what I'm doing. Do your own thing, please. Thank you. So there are a lot of different 6581s, and what I can talk about 8580 is that it's quite uniform in the sound, and it's in many ways more consistent than 6581s, and usually these days people are preferring the 8580, that it's the best. And I agree, if you make music and want to people to enjoy your music, how you meant it to sound or whatever, you should use 8580. But of course most of the people just use emulators these days, so this thing doesn't really matter. But if you care about such things, 8580 is a safe choose. But 6581, it's like a wine. You take a bottle, you start to drink it, you appreciate the taste, then you take another bottle and it tastes a little bit different and you enjoy the things. And 6581s are like this. I have here something like 10, 15 6581 chips. Some of them sounds alike, most of them doesn't. There are small slight differences and larger ones too, and I like it. I like to listen to those differences and concentrate on them and choose the chips what I like and use the certain tunes that I like to use those chips. But if you want to have the best chip, there's no such thing, because you have to have several ones, because the sound varies so much. So you just can't have one 6581 and expect that everything works with it. It doesn't work like this. So it's a problem. So you need to have more than one. With those new ones, ARMSID and FPGASID, you can tune the filter, change the settings, and have the sound varying a little bit, but it's not the same, and we come back to this later. But now I want to talk about something like if you have a 6581 that is filtering too much, or how should I say it? Well, let's see the slides. So this is the meaningful part of the schematics on C64, and there you can see SID chip and the output circuit. And there are also notes about capacitor values, those C70 and C71. Those are the meaningful ones, and these affect the sound. For 8580, you don't have to really care about this. The default values are good. You shouldn't meddle with them. But if you have a 6581 which filters way too much, then you can try to fix the thing. So you can change these capacitors to some smaller value. The default is 470 picofarads, but you could try something like 330 picofarads or even 270 picofarads. And it lowers the cutoff value of the SID, or make it higher or whatever. But anyway, if you have a SID chip that filters the sound so some instruments are inaudible, this will help. And I have tried this myself. It's really easy to switch those capacitors, and it really affects the sound. But for the correct value, you have to make experiments. So you have to really choose what's good for your ears and those tunes you like. But this works. Also, if you have a SID chip with too light filter, you could try to maybe something like 560 picofarads capacitor to make its filters more strongly. And I got a hint about this in the SID datasheet, which there's a formula which says how these capacitor values affect the sound. So it's something to think about. Also something, if you try to fiddle with your SID chip or C64, you should remember that on the datasheet there's also note that you should use a separate ground line and separate voltage line for the SID chip, because it makes you can hear all the chips in C64 which are on, and that's why the audio output is very noisy on C64, because Commodore didn't care a shit. They cared about how to make this a lot of them and cheap. So the sound, it was a poor decision for the sound. And actually that was all I have on this slide. But we don't care about that, and we should go to the other subjects, and we come to back this later. Okay, so let's start with the ARMSID. It's a small, nice device. It's not very expensive, and it promises to do a lot. And I have my C64 on, and I'm using the U64 streamer application to get the picture over the network, so I don't have to use a video grabber. So I like the thing about this U64 capture, so I can drag and drop the software just in the window, so I don't have to load them in C64 in any way. But I started the ARMSID tester and configuration tool, and that's what it tells about firmware version 2.12. I guess it's the latest one, I hope. I updated it yesterday. Serial numbers, paddle things, voltages, and here you can change the settings of the ARMSID. And while this is nice, you can check these things, but this is not very handy, or is it? Do you think? So let's get rid of it. And this is how I use my C64. So I use the terminal program. Now I have to find the window here, yes. And we go into settings, and this Ultimate 64 auto detects the ARMSID. And here we can go into the setting menu, so we can here change the ARMSID settings while we are running the C64 without touching the C64 keyboard with the telnet connection. So when we change these things, we can actually play the tune at the same time, so you can hear almost instantly the change in the filter setting. And if you do it with the official tool, that's okay, but you can't listen to the sound at the same time you change these settings, so it's a really long road to tune it like that. So let's do something I also do here. I have an ASID 64 player, SID chip player, and I have here a little bit unfair SID tunes for this test. Maybe I shouldn't go in this route, because David Dunn used SID chip that any of these emulators can't do. You can't really reproduce these tunes with the ARMSID, and even FPGASID is having difficulties here. But then again, if they claim to be like real SID chip, maybe we should give it a go. And I like the jump jet tune. It's a good example because it used the bandpass filter, which is many tunes doesn't use, and I think it's not widely used because it's very difficult for the different SID chips. But let's play this jump jet tune. And while it's playing, I can change these filter settings. And I don't really understand this falling, go away, average, strong, extreme, because it's not very accurate way to present the filter. But I think that if you go in the extreme way, it filters the more, and the other way, it filters less. But then again, if we filter less, we can barely hear the sounds anymore. So Okay, that was the short demo about this, and maybe we should try something more meaningful tunes for this. So Rob Hubbard is also a good test subject for this, because most of us remember the Hubbard tunes and can appreciate them, but also he used the filter in problematic way. So my favorite test tune on this is the Dragon's Lair, some of the subtunes. So let's play it a little while, and I will change the settings and try to keep my mouth shut that you can even hear the sound differences. Clear problem here is that the scale is not big enough, so I could go to the sound in the level I remember it and like it. We can change the lowest filter cutoff value here. It doesn't affect much because these tuners are not using the filter on such values. It's almost inaudible. And if you choose the average, the default value, it's already quite inaudible. And if we change it to 8580, it's quite simple too, just here. But it doesn't sound like my 6581, so let's try some other tune, like 8580 tune. And what I really like is sounds that Linus does, so let's change it to 8580 first. And listen to 8580 dot picks. And while this sounds pretty okay-ish, there's some oomph missing here. The real 8580 kicks a lot more. I mean a lot more than this. But it sounds quite okay-ish. Nothing major is wrong there. And Wojciech made a tune called Golem, and that's quite problematic for many of these emulators. But this is quite long tune. But this is something you should try on your own 64s, because this is something that will bug on FPGA SID, and also it sounds quite wrong on this ARMSID. I don't know what this tune does, but it's a difficult one. Maybe it's the dynamics that the oomph is missing, or maybe it's something else. We could also see some settings that if you are not familiar with Ultimate64, there are quite a lot of settings for the SID things. So it has 2 sockets, which you can have 2 SIDs, but currently I just have the ARMSID there connected, so it just detects the ARMSID. You could change the filter caps, of course, just with the 2 values, and this 1K resistor needs to be disabled for 8580 or it will distort. But I think it does this automatically, at least this with Ultimate64 Elite version. And this UltiSID, there are 2 emulated SID revisions also in the Ultimate64. These are pretty okay-ish replacements. Not perfect, but not very bad either. And there is very flexible way to configure SID chips on this Ultimate64, so you can have easily total 4 SID chips. And these UltiSIDs, which are the inbuilt ones there, you can change the address where it's mapped. And also there's a visual one for the mirroring and splitting and whatever. And my settings currently are just for this demo, I use something else. And also this audio mixer, which is nice, so you can change if you want your SID sockets to band left or right or center and whatever, if you want to hear a drive and so on. This tune doesn't sound like it should. Okay, so I think I don't have anything more about ARMSID. It's pretty okay-ish. You can tune it to sound like 6581, it sounds like 8581, okay-ish, and when you consider the price, it's cheap, and it's okay. But for me, I don't really like it. But I guess I'm too deep in this SID thing. So let's switch to FPGA SID and let's see what it can bring onto the table. Okay, now I have switched my FPGA SID back in my Ultimate64 and let's enable the things here. So the music player and the terminal programs, and oh shit, I need to, yes, blah blah blah. This is a quite strange that you can see the terminal on the screen, but it's not really the terminal, it's the picture of the terminal, so it's messing up with the settings. So we can check the SID sockets. We can see that the SID detected socket 1 is FPGA SID and the socket 2 is empty. And addressing is the default one goes to FPGA SID, and we have here a new menu. Last time we had an ARMSID menu here, and now we have a FPGA SID here, and there we can change the settings of the FPGA SID like we could change the ARMSID, and there are a lot of things here to choose. And currently I have 2 different 6581s here with the default filter values, and let's play with these. Let's play the same jump jet tune and try how it sounds with the FPGA SID. If I remember correctly, the FPGA SID is way better here than ARMSID, but let you be the judges. So let's just click on the tune. default values, this is boring. But usually I use something like 12 here. And now the left channel changed. So now they are same on left and right channel. Oh, we have a nice distortion there. Very nice saturation. And that is something the ARMSID is missing totally. So with this one tune I can instantly say that this FPGA SID is way better than ARMSID what comes into 6581. So we could try another unfair tune from this directory, the Theater Europe, and this is very difficult tune for the SID chip. Actually, this sounds pretty good right away. Lots of distortion and no instruments missing. Pretty nice. When you see my head dancing, you know I like it. And if we change the filter values on the go, we get a nice stereo effect. I was talking about the wine, so now I can have quite many bottles of wine and which to taste here. So I can find just the correct sound for the tune I like. So let's try something else. The Rob Hubbard thing. Sorry, I enjoy this music too much. Okay, so I usually like to take the filter to the edge to find the most interesting sounds. This works pretty nice. And with a little bit of stereo effect. And this is interesting tune, this from the Hobbit. So if you can tune the filter just correct way, this lead sound changes totally. And this is a maximum value. I'm sometimes thinking that is this something that the composer had the SID chip. Because it's quite different from the perhaps. I guess it's pretty clear that I love my FPGA SID. And these values are maybe confusing. And this 8 is the strongest filter and 7 is the lightest filter. So it's because this doesn't show negative values. So for 4-bit value, the first bit is the plus or minus, so damn, I can't explain it, but this is how it is. But I don't know, let's try the 8580, shall we? And there's quick type select here. And now the left channel is 8580, and now also right channel is 8580. So let's try the same tune as with the ARMSID. This has a lot more kick. This oomph I was talking about. A lot more bass. And there's not much the settings you can change. Of course you can change this if you like, but I don't think it gives very much. Because the most interesting thing about A580 is that it's consistent, so why the fuck with the settings? And here you can change the output mode, so it can give 2 separate signals for the sound or mix them one into one signal. And for the stereo effect you have to use this 2-signal mode and connect it in the Ultimate 64 that both channels are used. I have connected the second channel on the SID tab connector. I guess I don't have anything else to say about this. We could play this Golem tune, which I think bugs with this FPGA SID. And one thing about FPGA SID, it's impossible to make a bug report, because I tried it with email, it's not okay, they don't want my report, and I'm too stupid to use the form on the web page. I tried it several times, but I can't get to the end. So it's impossible to make the bug report. But fortunately it usually works okay, not any major bugs, but this Golem tune, this has issues with FPGA SID also, so maybe it's fixed someday, maybe not, but I'm still quite happy with it. But while we are at it, we could listen to this ULTISID, which is Ultimate64 has built in, because when I was preparing this video I forgot totally about this ULTISID. So let's see what happens if we try to change these settings on the fly while the tune is playing. So we go into SID addressing and change this to unmapped. Usually, most likely we get some strange sounds now. Nothing happened. Other SID is still playing. Interesting. So better to make reset. Like this, and let's go back to this jump jet tune which we have been using. I wonder what is playing now, because they shouldn't be playing anything. Interesting. We have not mapped anything. Oh, this must be a bug. I guess we have to disable the socket. Still playing. Interesting. Nice. Okay, it was the mirroring setting. Of course, actually that's quite logical. So when we disable the mirroring, we get rid of this SID's playing. So we just set the ULTISID D400, and now this is the internal 6581 implementation playing. Ooh, this sounds strange. And we have a ULTISID 1. This sounds so wrong, plasticky, so I don't like it at all. No saturation. Actually, it's pretty uncomfortable to listen to this. Strange. Ooh. At least we can hear all the instruments, but this sounds quite strange for my ears. So let's try the Hubbard one. And this filters too much, you can't hear the lead. And here you can barely hear the lead. So these default curves, they filter too much. The lead is missing. to 8580 we get the sound. Okay, some ultimate, I guess this is 5181 or 41 ultimate setting. No, doesn't pass this test, so I guess the weakest one of these things we tested is this ARMSID. But let's try it still the 8580 emulator or implementation or whatever. So let's take this high or low. I don't know, let's play with this. So let's play 8580 doped picks. Oh, this has oomph. But this bass drum doesn't sound correct. But it has a way more kick than ARMSID had. Okay, it's depending on this filter curve. But not much on this resonance. Or maybe a little bit, I don't know. But those snares take over wrong. So let's try a maximum dual volume out of this. So it was the Fortress of Nazod. So I guess this is the loudest 8580 tune I know. I mean the loudest output volume. So let's see. It's kicking pretty nicely. And there was some kind of artifact. I guess it overloaded. But this is, I think, all I have to say about this subject. So SID chips are different, implementations are different. FPGA is a little bit expensive, but it's pretty good. It's flexible, and something I recommend you get. But at the first I said you shouldn't listen to me, so listen to yourself, listen to your own ears. Listen to those songs you like. I have my own favorites, you have your own favorites and all preferences on the sound. So this is a complicated subject, and it's very difficult to be right on these things. We all have our own opinion, which is correct. So I have a little list of things here, notes, what I wanted to talk about, but I guess I covered it already all. So please make new SID tunes so I can enjoy them. Thank you.